What's up? I used to work in a little place. I don't know if y'all have ever heard it before, but worked in a little place called Walt Disney World. And you meet a lot of interesting people there from like all over the world, but mostly you meet like a lot of stupid people. And they like to ask you a lot of stupid questions. Like one time a guy came up to me and he just kind of pushed me, like, and he said, please. Because they always got to start with, please. And he looks at me and yells, where is Kraken? And he gives me a map to SeaWorld. So this guy had to make his way into Magic Kingdom. So that means he had to drive into Disney property, past the giant sign that says, welcome to Disney World. And he had to pass through the giant sign that said, welcome to Magic Kingdom. And he had to buy a $130 ticket to get into Magic Kingdom. And then he had to go through the giant Cinderella's castle. And not at one point did this man really think to himself and be like, there are a lot less whales here and a lot more mice. One of my favorite things that ever happened to me, I used to work in a ride called Astro Orbiter. A little background on Astro Orbiter. It is the tallest point of Magic Kingdom. It's 150 feet in the air. And then you sit into these little rockets, and then they lift you up an extra 60 feet in the air. So now you're 210 feet in the air. Math. And then they whip you around at 20 miles an hour. And you don't think that 20 miles an hour is very fast until you're pinned to the back of your seat and you're thinking to yourself, when was the last time these safety codes were renewed? The 70s. I have a theory about the 70s that people were a lot smaller back then, because you can't believe how awkward it is to look a person in the eyes as they're squeezing into their rocket and be like, I'm so sorry. You're too fat to ride. Get out. This one time I was walking around at Astro Orbiter and I was checking seatbelts. It's amazing how many ways an adult can use a seatbelt. That's incorrect. I've had people wrap them around their necks like chokers, wrap them around their heads like turbans, wrap them around their feet like cool socks. And these adults are like, yes, we drive in cars. And I'm like, I'm not sure you do, pal. Click it or ticket. So one day I'm walking around, I'm checking seatbelts, and I see an empty rocket in the distance. And my thought to myself is like, yes, one less person I got to teach a basic skill to. And as I'm walking down, I happen to glance down at this empty rocket. And what do I see? A baby. An infant baby just kind of laying there like how babies do. And I didn't really know what to do, so I just kind of took a look around and I was like, whose baby is this? And nobody really said anything, so I'm like, okay. So I walk to the rocket behind this rocket and I look at these people and I'm like, hi, is that your baby? And they look at me and go, please. No baby. And I'm like, all right. So then I walk past this baby's rocket and I'm like, hey baby, is that your parents over there? And that baby's like, man, I hope not. I'm like, all right, word. So I walk over to these people in front of them and I'm like, hi, I don't know how to tactfully tell you this, but is that your baby? And sadly they said, yes. He is. He's our baby. And I said, well, I'm sorry, but I don't know if they told you 150 feet down on the ground floor, but your baby cannot ride by themselves. And they're like, oh, he can't ride by himself? Ma'am, your baby can barely hold its head up by itself, let alone be lifted an extra 60 feet in the air, 210 feet in the air, math, being whipped around at 20 miles an hour. Your baby is going to fly out halfway across the park and you're going to find him in a bush in Frontierland. So I had to coerce them to ride with their baby. And I guess they had a bad time, because afterwards they came out and they're like, we wanted a romantic ride to themselves. Well, ma'am, if you wanted a romantic ride, why did you come to Disney World? It's nothing but screaming children 24/7. You could have gotten that at home. So they look at me and they're like, we're going to tell guest relations on you. And I'm like, go ahead. I only have 1 week left in this swampy hellhole of magic. I was a hero that day. I got no recognition from those adults. They had a bad time and they told guest relations on me. But I do know every time I go to Disney World and I see those poor babies strapped to their stupid parents, they just take a look at me. They raise their tiny baby fists in solidarity and thanks to my good deed. Thank you, guys.